It's believed that this night was the first time Bias ever tried cocaine. Bias reportedly sat upon a bed, bent over a mirror, and called himself a horse. This was a nickname his teammates had used for him because of his on-court grace and physical presence. After this proclamation, Bias snorted one last line of coke. Bias got up to use the bathroom, stumbled, and fell back down on the bed.
Let's get it, y'all. We back. My boy Sean here again.
What's good?
Ultimate Celtics fan. Welcome to the family. Hey, y'all. Here you go. That's why I like me.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Drop something in the comments to confirm that the mic was working, y'all. Just saying. It's crazy because we going to school for photography and all of that.
Not audio visual.
I mean, but it's all the same. It's kind of all the same thing, though. So, I guess I'm wrong. I mean, photography can be more of art.
You might be wrong. You might be right.
Yeah, you're right.
Anywho.
Even if I was wrong, I could have been right.
Anywho.
Yeah, I was about to do that whole Terrence Howard little thing. Get rid of Dice Ryan. But no, y'all told me to check out Liam Bias. So I told y'all I was going to check him out. For some reason, I thought he was going to be Caucasian.
No.
I thought like when they said like, you know, like he was going to be like, you know, better than Michael Jordan. I thought he was going to be like some white guy that was going crazy out here dunking and going crazy. But this dude kind of looked like Michael Jordan.
R.I.P. Liam Bias, man.
R.I.P. Liam Bias. So we're going to do like a 2-part video here, y'all. I'm trying to get used to tonight. I'm about to figure out who he is. You know what I mean? Obviously, he played for the Celtics, or at least got drafted to the Celtics, but didn't get the opportunity to flourish how he should have in the career of being a basketball player. You know, R.I.P. him. But I want to get to know who he is first, hear some of his backstory before I get into the highlights. So if you're new to the channel, it's your boy DtaeNoDinero. My boy Scrap over here, a.k.a. Sean. So, Scrap or Sean?
Scrap _618.
Okay. Scrap, you feel me? And we about to get to this. If you're new to the channel, like I said, subscribe, hit the like button, and also turn the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out no more of my videos. I'm trying to get more consistent with it. But, hey, I got a lot of Larry Bird videos in the playlist. So go to my channel and check out the playlist. You can check out all the Larry Bird videos, all the Celtic videos, all the videos that I got. I've already did reactions to. But let's get this video started, though, because I don't want to talk y'all heads off. Because I am long-winded here and out of breath sports. Even that's why I'm always out of breath. I'm always talking. Straight up.
Bias was born on November 18th, 1963. He grew up in Landover, Maryland, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C. Bias quickly developed a reputation of being someone who didn't fold under pressure. In fact, the pastor at his local church gave him the nickname Frosty because he had a cool, laid-back demeanor. Bias grew up in a close-knit family with his parents, James Bias Jr. and Dr. Lenise Bias. Bias was the oldest of 4 children, having 2 brothers, Eric and James III, and sister Michelle. The family was devoted to their Christian faith, and all signs pointed to Bias succeeding at everything that he chose to do in his life. Bias would first discover sports when he was in elementary school. He would attend his neighborhood's community center and was quickly introduced to football. Bias started playing on the community football team, and his natural athletic ability was apparent to all that watched him. It wasn't until Bias reached the 8th grade that he discovered the game of basketball, and by the 9th grade, Bias had turned into a star player. This caught Bias's mother off guard, as she never expected her son to become a great basketball player. Quote, "I just thought it was an opportunity for him to be involved in some type of sports activity that would keep him occupied and just have something to look forward to. But it blossomed into something completely different. When we would attend the games from the 10th grade to the 12th grade, you could see the progression from this little lanky kid in middle school to an all-star athlete by the time he was in high school." End quote. This skill Bias had didn't occur naturally. Yes, his incredible athletic ability was 100% something he was born with, but actual basketball skills is something Bias had to develop himself. Orton Lee Madkins was Bias's basketball coach at the Rec Center basketball team, as well as the director of the Rec Center itself, and he once spoke about Bias developing his basketball skills. Quote, "When he was young, kids used to laugh at him when he played basketball. They never picked him on a team. Then he ended up with everyone wanting him on their team."
Right.
End quote. By the time Bias reached high school, he quickly became a star on his school's basketball team. He attended Northwestern High School, and in 1982, Bias led his team, the Wildcats, into the Maryland State AA Finals. Bias averaged 20 points, 12 rebounds per game while shooting 68% from the floor. His sensational play earned him the Washington Post First Team All-Met choice. Bias was also selected to the Capital All-Stars team for the 9th annual Capital Classic. In the Capital Classic, Bias scored 18 points while grabbing 11 rebounds. The Capital All-Stars won the big game 82-79 against the US All-Stars. Bias, along with teammate Johnny Dawkins, would be named co-MVPs for the game. So with high school out of the way, of course, college ball was calling Len Bias's name. A lot of colleges, top ones, were thinking that Len Bias would fit perfectly on their team, but Len Bias had other plans, choosing to stay close to home by playing for the University of Maryland. They welcomed him in 1982, and after being a star in high school, Bias figured he'd be a star in college, and he was right. Bias's first year at the University of Maryland didn't go quite the way he wanted it to. He only played 22 minutes per game and scored 7.1 per game. But by his second year at the University of Maryland, Bias started to show everyone why there was so much hype around him coming out of high school. Bias's scoring rose to 15.3 points per game, and he shot 56.7% from the field. It wasn't just the higher percentage he shot, it was the way he scored the basketball that was so impressive. Len Bias attacked the rim like no player of his size has ever done in college basketball, according to many. Bias, standing at 6'8" and weighing 210 pounds, attacked the hoop like he was Shawn Kemp. He also had a sweet jump shot that Kemp himself never had, making Bias a truly unique player, especially for his time. On top of his offense, Bias was also a versatile defender. Bias was also known as a player who sometimes lost his temper. He often jawed at opponents while on the court, and he once threw the ball at a referee in high school. Still, this aggression came from Bias's determination to win and be the best player he could be. Bias also enjoyed working out, keeping his body in tip-top shape, so no matter who his opponent was on the basketball court, Bias was confident in his ability to outwork whoever stood in his way. Most people only saw Bias, the dominant basketball player, but to his friends and family, he was so much more, of course. Bias was a fun-loving guy who enjoyed riding around in his car and listening to his favorite CDs. Bias also was still a devoted Christian even by the time he reached college, and Bias didn't live the crazy lifestyle that you would assume most college kids lived, probably because of that faith. According to Bias's childhood friend Terrence Lewis, not only did Bias not participate in doing drugs, he didn't like to drink alcohol either. Quote, "Sometimes I'd say afterwards, let's go get a drink. He'd say, no, I'm not drinking right now." He was very strict about what he put into himself. He was proud of his physique, he'd joke about it, say, "I'm not taking anything to hurt this."
He died like of a drug overdose?
That's what I heard. I guess we're gonna get there though. This is pretty much the beginning of the video. So, right now we're still talking about that he really didn't drink alcohol, and he was rumored to have died from an overdose. But don't get me started with
drugs either.
Yeah, that neither. He was very particular about what he put in his body.
I think he died of an overdose.
Yeah, that's what they said. He died of an overdose. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah. Don't get me started with these conspiracy theories. I promise you, it is. I start saying somebody drugged him.
Maybe. Always that possibility.
I mean,
sure.
It's a crazy world out here, especially if
crazy world we live in.
Corporations probably had a lot of their money invested into Michael Jordan and him becoming a big star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this next, all you know, is another guy that look just like Michael Jordan, just like him. Come up 6'8", 200-some pounds too, strong.
Brian James.
You know what I mean? All right, y'all. Hey, drop some in the comments what y'all think about the video so far. It is kind of still the beginning of it, so I ain't about to talk too much. But y'all told me to check out Len Bias. As of right now, I'm very interested and fascinated at this guy's athletic ability. I do think that he probably would have been just as good as Michael Jordan, but we'll never know. But yeah, let's get back to the video. What you think? He would have been as good as Michael Jordan?
Hard to say because I ain't never watched him in person. So just watching this and how they describe him, maybe. But it's a lot of people that came up and had the same build and same skills.
They be speaking them up all the time, but they don't turn out to be that in the NBA. Because the NBA is completely different. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And them different people. Michael Jordan definitely was a different animal.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really take off when he first joined the league neither. You know, he had a hard time dealing with Larry Bird. But don't let me get to talking about any of that. Shout out to Michael Jordan, RP Lynn Bias. Shout out to him as well. But also shout out to GOAT, Larry.
Shout out LeBron James too, man. I just want to give a shout out to LeBron James. He don't got nothing to do with this. Exactly. But I just want to shout him out, man.
This man was not even thought of yet. Why are you shouting him out? His parents were probably watching Lynn Bias and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So shout out them.
LeBron James.
Anyways, y'all like the video, man. Drop some in the comments, y'all think. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Turn your notification bells on. And be sure to check out the Larry Bird playlist if you are a Larry Bird fan like me. I said LJB, not LBJ. So let's get this understood here, okay? LJB, not LBJ.
His body, this physical specimen, end quote. On top of staying away from drugs, Bias was also staying away from women, as he knew some women in college looked at athletes as a way to get money. That was according to him anyway. This was something Bias didn't care much about. All he wanted to do was play basketball and continue to work on his game. Bias would continue to improve his game, especially in his junior and senior years. He averaged 18.9 points per game on 52.8% shooting as a junior and 23.2 points per game on 54.4% shooting as a senior. Bias's accolades include 2 ACC Player of the Year awards, 2 All-ACC First Team selections, and All-American honors in 1985 and 1986. In an interview with Duke Blue Devils head coach Coach K, he had this to say about the best players he's ever coached against. Quote, "In the 40 years I've coached at Duke, the 2 opponents that were the most talented were Michael Jordan and Len Bias. They had the it." End quote. In the early 1980s, Michael Jordan was known as the best college basketball player in the country, and Bias quickly made it known he was right up there with Jordan. Some people even called Bias a bigger Jordan because of their similar playing style, as Bias stood 2 inches taller. And this wasn't some crazy statement or anything. Bias had a similar skill set to Jordan at the time, and arguably he had some better skills than Jordan, at least the college version of him. He was quicker and he was taller than Jordan, and a lot of NBA teams worried about the future, their rival teams drafting this guy and him absolutely obliterating them. But for now, Bias was in college still, and he was battling the previously mentioned Jordan for the title of the best basketball player in the country at the college level. Bias and Jordan played against each other 4 times in their careers. Even though Jordan's Tar Heels won 3 out of the 4 matchups, Bias did play well in those games. The first matchup between Bias and Jordan took place on January 12, 1983. Jordan finished with 21 points, while Bias, who came off the bench, scored 11. North Carolina defeated Maryland 72-71. The second meeting between the two would be played on February 16, 1983. Once again, Jordan would start for North Carolina, while Bias came off the bench for Maryland. Jordan got off to an incredible start with 15 points in the first half. He looked unstoppable, and Maryland's coach, Lefty Driesell, had a serious question for his team at halftime. Is there anybody in this room that can guard Michael Jordan? Bias's teammate Herman Veal raised his hand, ready to take on the challenge. And he rose to the occasion. Veal's lockdown defense held Jordan scoreless for the first 14 minutes of the second half, but Veal wasn't the only one who clamped down on Jordan. Bias also took a few possessions guarding Jordan, and he played him well. Maryland actually defeated North Carolina 106-94, which broke Maryland's 6-game losing streak to North Carolina. It was also North Carolina's first loss in the ACC that entire year. Jordan ended up with 25 points, and while Bias did only score 6, his impact on the floor was felt, and his leadership helped to guide his team to victory. The third meeting and first of the 1983-84 season took place on January 12, 1984. North Carolina would take this game, winning 74-62 in a lower scoring affair. Jordan had another solid game with 21. Bias, even in defeat, showed the world he was developing into the next star player in NCAA basketball. Bias scored 24 points, including over 16 in the first half. He looked unstoppable at times, but Jordan would be ready for the next game. The final meeting between the two occurred on February 19, 1984. North Carolina actually easily defeated Maryland in this game, 78-63. Jordan scored 25 points while shooting 71% from the field. Bias scored a quiet 15 points in this game. Even with this more lackluster performance in their fourth matchup, Bias did show Jordan and the world that he was on the up and up. As mentioned earlier, Bias's skills would continue to develop in his last 2 years at Maryland, making him arguably the best college player in the country. Bias's stellar play certainly caught the attention of the NBA and its teams. The one person in particular who really took notice of Bias was Red Auerbach, the Boston Celtics president and general manager at the time. Auerbach had been keeping his eye on Bias since 1984, and he made his first move to get Bias in 1984 when he traded guard Gerald Henderson and cash to the Seattle Supersonics for their future pick in the '86 draft. The Celtics won their third title of the '80s in '86, and were lucky enough to have the Supersonics' second pick of the 1986 NBA draft. After the Cleveland Cavaliers selected Brad Daugherty with their first pick, the Celtics proudly selected Bias with the second pick. The future was looking bright, not only just for Len Bias, but for the Boston Celtics as a whole. They had an aging roster, and Len Bias was looked at as their future. An example of how good it was going for Bias was the day before he was drafted, Reebok had contacted him regarding a massive shoe deal. They had seen what Nike had done for Jordan and wanted the same for their brand, and they felt like Bias could do that. It was reported that the shoe deal was going to be for over $1.6 million, which was huge at the time. This included a 5-year endorsement deal, and of course shortly after this, Bias would be drafted, and unfortunately this is where our story turns tragic. At 6:30 in the morning of June 19, 1986, a call came into the 911 dispatch center from a man named Brian Tribble.
Washington Hall. It's a emergency. It's Len Bias. And he just went to Boston and he needs some assistance.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about someone needs, Len Bias needs help.
Well, it doesn't matter what his name is. What's the problem?
He's not breathing right.
What's the address?
1103 Washington Hall on University campus.
Washington Hall?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
My name is Brian.
Brian what?
Tribble.
Tribble?
Yes, sir.
What's your phone number, Brian?
Len Bias is real. I don't know the phone number.
What's the room number?
1103.
1103?
Yes, sir.
It's just Washington Hall. What's the address of Washington Hall?
It's I don't know if no address for it. It's Washington Hall. Come on, Hungry Herman's. And go straight up there. It's on the right-hand side, sir. Please come as soon as you can. It's no joke.
Okay, Washington Hall, apartment number 1103.
We're giving them mouth to mouth. You can hear it now. Guys, you have to give him back to life. There's no way he can die. Sir. Please come quick.
Okay, Washington Hall and apartment room number 1103, right? That's 1103.
1103. 1103.
All right, we'll have an ambulance out, all right?
Excuse me?
We'll have an ambulance out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tribble, a longtime friend of Bias, met with him, and they decided they wanted to celebrate Bias's draft success. They drove back to Bias's old dorm where they met with a few of Bias's Maryland teammates. What they decided to do next would unfortunately cost Bias his life. Bias, his teammates, and Tribble all decided to snort lines of cocaine. It's believed that this night was the first time Bias ever tried cocaine. Bias reportedly sat upon a bed, bent over a mirror, and called himself a horse. This was a nickname his teammates had used for him because of his on-court grace and physical presence. After this proclamation, Bias snorted one last line of coke. Bias got up to use the bathroom, stumbled, and fell back down on the bed. He then lapsed into a seizure. After noticing Bias slipping into a seizure, one of his teammates, Terry Long, grabbed a pair of scissors and he placed the handle in Bias's mouth to prevent him from biting his tongue. Bias's other teammates, David Gregg, held Bias's legs as Tribble called 911. Tribble's slurred 911 call would go down as one of the oddest 911 calls in history. From Tribble's repeated mentions of Bias's names to the slur in his voice to the rude operator, it was certainly odd indeed.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about someone needs, Len Bias needs help.
Well, it doesn't matter what his name is. What's the problem?
The ambulance came and wheeled Bias's body out of the dorm room on a cart with a white sheet over the top. At 8:51 that morning, Leonard Kevin Bias was pronounced dead. The official cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia, which the cocaine use caused.
Wow. You just said it to it. Sound like dude was on drugs.
Yeah, he definitely was high.
Yeah. I thought he may have just been a little slow.
Nah.
Yeah.
He was slurring, words slurring. He was definitely high.
Yeah. Dude really died though. He's definitely on the up and up though. Honestly, I don't think he would have turned out to be better than Michael Jordan though.
Yeah.
And in college, Michael Jordan was already showing signs that he was gonna be real dominant in the NBA.
It was too easy.
Yeah, he was making it look too easy. Scoring 21 points.
78%.
You know what I mean? Just going crazy. Yeah, he was
That's
going.
2K.
You know what I mean? Like that's,
2K, no.
his sliders is all the way up on 80%. Duncan wise though, he might have been a real big threat. Maybe he would have been like another Dominique Wilkins. You know, probably with a stronger build though.
And a shot, better shot. Well, actually, I can't say that because I personally never seen Dominique Wilkins like live.
Yeah, Dominique Wilkins can shoot though. He was going back to back hit with Larry Bird. Like he played for the Atlanta Hawks. He's going crazy. I watched his highlights too, and they used to be going back and forth with Larry Bird and them. That boy Dominique Wilkins could shoot. So I'm not gonna say he would have been a better shooter than Dominique Wilkins, but he probably would have been averaging around the same amount percentage shots being made per game. And he had bounce, just like looked like he had some bounce like Dominique Wilkins, but maybe not as much bounce. Man, here you go. Putting yourself in the equation again. Go ahead, like LeBron, you mean?
Like me.
Okay. I was just trying to see what you was hitting with this.
Upload that clip too.
I'm just saying.
You can upload that clip.
But nah, I mean, this whole drug overdose thing, I just think that is kind of weird. It's kind of sad too, you know.
Definitely sad.
He didn't drink. I mean, at least he didn't drink a lot. Apparently,
He didn't drink or smoke,
you
or
know,
like do drugs.
So just skip those drugs and just go straight to cocaine is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was real easily influenced by his friends. Maybe his friends, you know what I mean, was like, oh man, you got that big check.
But I think that was before high school. They said. So maybe it changed when he got to college. Like,
no, they said while he was in college too that he didn't really care for drinking.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's what I thought.
Maybe, yeah.
That's what I thought he said. That's what I thought the guy said. Like his junior year, his sophomore year, and his freshman year, he was really just focused on basketball. Because remember they mentioned the part about how the females, he didn't pay no mind to the females.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they targeted athletes to try to get their money and stuff like that. I mean, in high school, he wasn't thinking like that. But in college, college females, you know how they is. You know what I'm. They trying to get stuff for life. They ain't trying to do that schoolwork no more. Nah, yeah.
He make it, I'll make it.
You straight up. You know what I mean? That's what they be doing now. You ever see them videos with the mom be trying to push out the girlfriend, like just our moment when they make it to the
NBA? You gotta put the clip of Russell Wilson when he got drafted. You ever seen that?
You talking about when the one lady, she was trying to get rude, she was trying to get wild, she was trying to get
like she was laughing hard as hell. You ain't.
Nah,
you gotta put that in.
I'm gonna see it.
I gotta look at it, bro. That shit is so funny.
I think I seen a picture of it, but I ain't seen it though. It's a picture of it though, and she was mad when the mom kicked her out the picture.
No, bro, she was like laughing, like smiling hard as hell because he got drafted.
Because she knew she was about to get paid.
Yeah. Knowing he's trying to break up with your ass.
I'm weak as heck, man. That's hilarious. That's I'm gonna have to check it out though. I'm gonna have to see the video. Yeah, but y'all drop something in the comments, man. What y'all think about the whole Bias ordeal? I know it's all sad that someone lost their life within this process. On top of him being classified as being up there as Michael Jordan or being like the next Michael Jordan. I know a lot of people in the comments have said that they thought that was gonna be the case, but honestly, in my opinion, I didn't really see that. It's like I watched Larry Bird going against Magic Johnson in college. You got that impression that they was gonna be crazy. Like you feel me? You got that impression by watching them. the few clips that they talked about Michael Jordan, you get that impression, you know, that person goes to the NBA, he gonna be something. This right here is just another athletic person that shows potential, but you don't never know how it's gonna turn out. You know what I mean? First game he had 6 points, second game he had 15, then third game he had 24. Then the fourth game he only had 11 or something like that, like, or 15. I forget which one it was. Like, it was up and down. But I'm not saying that the guy wasn't talented. I'm just saying, like, you feel me? The correlation and them trying to make it like people making like it a similar. I just don't really see the connection, to be honest with you. I just see another athlete that's gonna be going crazy in the NBA. He's gonna make a name for himself, and he possibly could become better than Michael Jordan or anybody. But you know, like when you hear about Kobe in high school, like, oh, you hear about LeBron, you hear about it. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my opinion, though. Drop some in the comments what y'all think. What you think, bro?
I think he had potential to be a good player.
Okay. But just going based off what you've seen so far, like I did, get your true opinion. What you do. I mean, everybody got their opinion. Do you think he would have been as good as Michael Jordan just based off what you've seen?
Physicality wise, I don't think it's hard because Michael Jordan considered one of the best, or if not the best. So I don't think he could be. I don't think that he would have the same legacy as Michael Jordan.
Okay.
But he could have been a great player. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, that's not taking nothing away from him. They saying that, you know, the conversation is this. He was talked about, or could have been, he was talked about as being better than Michael Jordan and having a better career than Michael Jordan. So that's why I said that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm asking. Based off what you've seen through the highlights, the storyline, and everything like that, do you think him?
No.
Okay. That's all I was looking for.
No.
Okay. That's all I was looking for. And that's my opinion, too. I don't think that was going to be the case. There was a lot of great basketball players in Michael Jordan here. You know what I mean? So, it just wasn't as good as Michael Jordan. Or maybe they just didn't, maybe they wouldn't have got drafted to the team where they would have been able to run the show. Because he was getting drafted to the Celtics at that time.
Yeah.
You had Larry Bird there. You got Kevin McHale there. You got Robert Parrish there. You got Dennis Johnson there. You got Bill Walton there. You got Danny Ainge. You got Rick Carlisle. Where is he going to fit? You see what I'm saying?
He said he was the savior. Supposed to be the savior. It was an old team.
They didn't say that, bro.
They did.
Hey, man. Hey,
they said that in the video.
Man, make sure y'all get on him in the comments because they did not say that.
Oh.
He had just won. They just won the championship that year.
They had just said that it was an older team. He was supposed to come in and be like their savior.
I didn't hear that part of the video. I'm glad I didn't hear that part of the video. I probably would have cut it off.
That's what he said.
Man, he wasn't about to be their savior, man. I'm just letting you know right now that man was literally going to come in and probably be the young legs on the court. But you got to understand, man, Larry Bird had the IQ of probably 4 coaches put together. That's why he was as good as he was. He was a basketball genius.
We talking about Lamb Bias, gang. hey, you know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying.
Hear about no Larry Bird, bro. Just continue the video.
All right, man. Hey, drop something in the comments. Be sure to like the video, man.
Body out of the dorm room on a cart with a white sheet over the top. At 8:51 that morning, Leonard Kevin Bias was pronounced dead. The official cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia, which the cocaine use caused. The shining bright light Bias was, with all that potential, was snuffed out forever. When Boston Celtics great Larry Bird heard about the news, he promptly had this to say: "It was one of the cruelest things I've ever heard." On a basketball level, Bias's death changed the course of history. If Bias was added to the aging roster of the 80s Celtics, he could have revived Bird's career, allowing Larry Legend to play fewer minutes to rest his injured back while blossoming into a star. The Celtics would have had a chance at winning at least a few more titles if Bias had lived and performed to expectations. 4 days after Bias had died, more than 11,000 people attended the memorial service at the Cole Fieldhouse, the University Recreation and Student Center where Bias played for Maryland. On July 25, 1986, Brian Tribble was charged with possession of cocaine and possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. Bias's teammates Terry Long and David Gregg were also charged with possession of cocaine and obstruction of justice. Long and Gregg were both suspended from the team, and all three defendants entered not guilty pleas in August. On October 20th, 1986, prosecutors dropped all charges against Long and Gregg in exchange for their testimony against Tribble. Then, on October 30th, the grand jury added 3 more indictments against Tribble, 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice and 2 counts of obstruction of justice. On June 3, 1987, the grand jury acquitted Tribble of all charges. Outside of the courtroom, after being found not guilty, Tribble said, "I love Lenny Bias. I always have, always will." Tribble escaped punishment for his involvement in Bias's death, but he'd soon find himself in more hot water. In October 1990, Tribble agreed to a no-parole prison term of 10 years and 1 month, plus a 5-year term of supervised release afterwards. These were from unrelated drug charges that came from an undercover sting. The 1980s saw a large increase in drug use, and then President Ronald Reagan and his wife Nancy Reagan continued and, to many people, arguably started the war on drugs. President Reagan used Len Bias's death as one of the main catalysts for passing his drug bill. This included a mandatory minimum prison term of 20 years and a maximum life sentence, along with a fine for up to $2 million. This was for anyone found in possession of cocaine. The drug bill was also known as the Len Bias Law because of his high-profile case. The University of Maryland went under investigation after Bias's.
It's a show actually on Netflix. It's like off topic, but it's on like the Ronald Reagan. It's a show on Netflix called 13th. Check out.
What's it about?
It's like a documentary on like how America. It's about race. How America had its like hidden agenda to keep black people like enslaved. It's a good documentary. For real. I had to watch it for school. They was talking about Ronald Reagan, his like hidden plan to do war on drugs, all that. Yeah. It's it.
Drop some in the comments what y'all think about what he just said, y'all.
Y'all should check it out, really.
I'm a true American. I'm sorry. Ronald Reagan would never do such a thing.
What?
Let's get back to the video. We're gonna finish the video.
Bias's death, and an investigation discovered that Bias was 21 credits short of the graduation requirement, despite having attended the university.
Okay, so what were they saying? They were saying that he was 21
in Bias's final
short or
semester,
something like
he earned
that.
no
That's
academic
why they
credits,
lost
including failing 3 courses and with law because of his high-profile case. The University of Maryland went under investigation after Bias's death, and an investigation discovered that Bias was 21 credits short of the graduation requirement, despite having attended the university for a full 4 years. In Bias's final semester, he earned no academic credits, including failing 3 courses and withdrawing from 2 others. The controversy over Bias's death and the investigation prompted athletic director Dick Dole to resign on October 7, 1986. And for the Bias family, unfortunately, their tragedies weren't over with Len's death. On December 5, 1990, 20-year-old Jay Bias, Len's younger brother, was gunned down in a shopping mall parking lot not far from the University of Maryland campus. It was said Jay was flirting with a jewelry store clerk when the clerk's husband saw and confronted him. After being threatened, Jay laughed it off and left, believing the incident was over. Then, outside in the parking lot, the husband of the clerk and another man drove up and shot into the car Jay was in, hitting him twice in the back. The worst part of it is, the guy that shot him used to know Jay. They had both shared the same limo when they went to prom just years before. In a sad and twisted chance of fate, Jay would die in the same hospital that his brother Len died at 4 years earlier. After the tragic deaths of both of her sons, Dr. Lenny Bias became a motivational speaker and life coach, preaching a message of hope, courage, and endurance. She created the Bias Foundation, Incorporated, a life investment organization that has developed community-based programs supporting families, communities, and youth. Part of the mission of the Bias Foundation is to develop specific programs for women, men, teens, and parents, helping to strengthen the lives of people in underprivileged communities. Dr. Lenny Bias misses her sons every single day, but she understands that their deaths have led to positive changes in the lives of young people, thanks to her hard work and the drug laws that came after Len's death. Quote, I believe God had to take the best to save the rest, Dr. Lenise Bias said. I am a firm believer that he has done more in death than he could have ever done in life. End quote. Len Bias's story is of course tragic, but let's not forget his life and how incredible he was as a basketball player and as a human being. We should honor him as the Boston Celtics did on June 24, 1986, when they presented Bias's mother with a number 30 jersey with Bias's name on it. The College Basketball Hall of Fame also honored Bias on November 21, 2021, when Bias was selected to the Hall of Fame. This honor was well overdue for an incredible talent that could have been the greatest basketball player of all time for all that we know. So we at Basketball Dive want to hear what you guys have to say about Len Bias. I think personally, just as the voiceover guy here, that it's one of the most tragic stories in NBA history. And do you guys think that he could have been the greatest of all time? Did he have even more potential than guys like Grant Hill had he not been hampered with injuries to be the greatest of all time? We want to hear what you have to say below.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. The overall story's crazy, yo. I ain't gonna lie. After hearing about how he died and how he had such a great, up and coming talent to make it somewhere far in the NBA and having a great career, and the talk about him being better than Michael Jordan, to hear that his brother died 4 years later was even crazier.
Down.
Man, that is crazy. I can only imagine how many people, probably was sitting up saying he shouldn't have been trying to talk to that lady. The crazy world we live in now, how people gonna make justifications and excuses for murder, And I ain't talking about the accidental deaths that happen. I know. I just think that is crazy though, He definitely had potential to be a great NBA player. I just would have to say, in my personal opinion, I don't think he would have been better than Michael Jordan. As you clearly can see, academically, he wasn't even all, that academically smart. But that don't take nothing away from his character, who he was as a person, a brother, a son, possible uncle to nieces and stuff like that. You know what I mean? A granddad. He would have been of age now if he had kids of his own. And just a positive person in the community. I really appreciate the fact that no matter that Boston Celtics recognized so much for him, even, without knowing how great he would have been, just off the fact that they drafted him literally one day and the next day he was dead. Yeah. You know what I mean? They gave his mom a jersey with number 30 on the back. They also put him into the Maryland Hall of Fame as a basketball player. Or was that the Boston Celtics? I forget which one it was. That was the college Maryland did. Okay, so Maryland induced him into the, I really appreciate all of that, you know what I mean? Because, around that time, racism was still prevalent. And it was just a very good sign. It was just a good thing to do for somebody, and I appreciate that. Because he was a good basketball player and a good person. He was a Christian, raised in a Christian family. He wasn't into violence. He wasn't into doing no alcohol, which is surprisingly, why would you try, cocaine? It's just like, I don't know why people do that. Say no to drugs. Anybody of young age, just say no to drugs, y'all. Of all ages. I'm not gonna cap, but anything of young age. I mean, you're older. You're not like a kid. But if I could tell you something as a young adult or a younger person, as a teenager coming into adulthood, just say no to all drugs, yo. They're literally gateways to. It's literally a gateway drug. Marijuana is a gateway drug that leads to, wanting to try out other things because, once you do smoke marijuana, you feel like, oh, I'm high. And you're like, oh, this is what highs look like. And then, like somebody be like, I'm going to introduce you to this new high. And you're like, oh, if that high didn't do anything to me, this high won't do nothing to me the whole time. It's going to do something to you. You know what I mean? And that's why it's called a gateway drug. But, before we end the video, I'm going to give you an opportunity, say what you got to say, man. What you think?
RP Len Bias, man.
What are you smiling for when you say that? That's a defense mechanism, man. He don't know how to be sad.
What you mean?
You talking about?
I can't smile.
Yeah, you can smile, but now when you say RIP somebody though, that's better. That's better.
Celebrating his life.
They definitely is still celebrating his life to this day.
I'm not smiling at him. I'm just smiling.
It was a defense mechanism. I know when I see it. I do it all the time too. But now when I'm saying RIP to somebody.
Wow.
Crazy, man.
Crazy.
Nah, man. Let's get to the next video, though, man. Hey, look, y'all. If y'all like this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you watched the whole video, I appreciate you. Drop some in the comments what y'all think about Limb Bias. Whoever it is that told me to check out this video, I appreciate you telling me to check it out. I do see the correlation of why you said that he was supposedly be projected to be better than Michael Jordan, but in my personal opinion, Michael Jordan was already that guy at North Carolina. So I just don't see that correlation. I see him being another great athlete, like other athletes in the league around that time being, but I just don't see him being better or being one of the greats, considered one of the greats. But you never know. You never know. I'm glad he got induced into the Maryland Hall of Fame. I'm glad that Boston Celtics gave his mother a jersey with his name on the back, you know, with number 30 on it. Shout out to Larry Bird and all the good things that he said about him. But like I said, I'm gonna have to just say that I feel like he would have just been another good basketball player around that time. Jesus, promise you, it was gonna keep doing it. But what y'all think though? Drop some in the comments. It's your boy DtaeNoDinero, my boy Scrap here, man. Be sure to check us out, man. We come back with more content soon. Peace.